Hi, this is Lillian McMorris, and welcome to the Lillian McMorris Show. We're very, very happy to have you with us today. We'd like to thank Cox, of course, for letting us be on the air and giving all the information that we can. We give community information, we do entertainment, and we're in our community for our community. Every month, I try to pick someone to highlight because it's so important that we know people in our community. And just because they're an elected official or someone who's a star on the strip, an entertainer, there are other people that we should highlight, and that's what I try to find. Because there's a story behind each and every one of us. And the lady I'm about to introduce to you, the story to some people may be totally unbelievable. But then to others, it's a dream, it's a vision, and it can come true. Please meet Bonita Fahy.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. So I should say author Bonita Fahy. And we'll get to that because the name of her book is Guilty, the Inside Truth. So what we're going to do is we're just going to sit back and talk about it and give you some inside information. And you can get the book. You can go to the website and get the book. You can get it off of Amazon. And she got a blessing lately. What, a UNLV library?
UNLV library, yes.
Well, let's get to the book. But right now, let's talk about you. What your life was like. Like you said, you were economically challenged.
Yes.
With a family.
Yes. I had come to Las Vegas with my job and I had obtained a back injury. Mm-hmm. And by the time I made it back to Wisconsin, I had to go directly to the emergency room. And so I had exhausted all of my workers' comp. Mm-hmm. And when I tried to apply for unemployment or for disability, they told me I did not qualify. So at the time, Wisconsin was the first pilot state with W-2 and doing away with the old welfare system. Mm-hmm. So I went down to the welfare office and I told them my situation, and they told me that I was overqualified.
Oh, but no job.
No job.
With a family. With a back injury.
With the back injury. Rent due.
No income, but you were overqualified. I
was overqualified because I had a working resume and they wanted me to job search. And so then I called.
In spite of the injury.
In spite of the injury.
Okay.
So then I called 211 and I inquired about shelters. Mm-hmm. And at the time, since Wisconsin was the pilot state, what a lot of people didn't realize is that the shelters were overflowing. Okay. And so when I called and I spoke to the young lady at 211, she told me that there's a chance I could get in, but that me and my children would be separated.
Oh, how many children?
I had 3 biological children and I had adopted 3. So there was 6 total. And I couldn't just see myself going to a shelter full of strangers and being separated from my children. Right. That sounded like a nightmare to me. And why would somebody even allow that to happen? Right. And so I had started smoking marijuana to help me with my back pain. Mm-hmm. I was basically on every pain prescription there was. Mm-hmm. Morphine, Percocets, Darvocets. I was taking Ambien. I was getting all kind of shots in my back. Gabapentin,
But yet you didn't qualify for disability
I did not qualify.
Or some help. I mean, that in itself is unreal. You know what I'm saying?
And so, a friend of mine who I had been getting the weed from, the marijuana, he said, well, why don't you just try selling some, so at least that way you could pay your rent. Right. And at first I was like, no. Yeah. But then
it's called survival.
There was an eviction notice on my door the next day.
And how were your children eating? See, the children come into the picture too.
Right. And see, what I had done was, I had started, stashing away money while I was getting my workers' comp. And so I did have a little bit of savings, but I was going through it like 90 going north, just trying to keep up. And so, I took him up on his offer. Okay. I did, to sell the weed. And so once I did that, pretty soon before I knew it, it was just pounds. People were just asking me for pounds. Right. And so that was easier than selling the $5 bags, the $10 bags.
Back then we had dime bags.
Right. Because of the traffic that comes along with it. And I was scared. One day somebody came to my door like, I heard you sell weed. Who are you?
Who are you?
But in the hood, when that's the culture. You say, you pull up on the block and say, who got that bag?
Who
They're
got?
going to point right
There
to the
you go.
house that's selling the weed. No
Right.
second thoughts, no questions. And so it scared me. And so I was like,
especially your children were there.
Yes.
What were their ages?
I believe they were 5, 8, and 12. And then my adopted children were 15, 16, and 17.
So they were right at that impressionable age as well.
Yes. And so I did. I sold it, and then I got scared again.
Yes.
I was like, this is just too much. You know?
The traffic coming in and out.
Well, the traffic was pretty much people that I knew.
Okay.
So I wasn't too concerned, but even people that you know are your enemies when you're in the hood. You trust no one. Because it'll be that person
that's
that
the
you
culture.
know. Yes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm really getting scared now, because it was like 10 pounds, 11 pounds that my friend was dropping off to me. And he'd be gone like 2 hours, and I'm done. And so he was pressuring me to sell more. I'm getting scared. I never had any firearms in my house. And I just wanted to pay my rent.
Right.
And so then I made the decision to stop.
Okay.
And that's when things got a little bit crazy for me once I made that decision to stop.
Okay.
One of my friends who had been buying from me called me one day and asked me to help him to get 2 pounds. And I said no. So he ended up coming to my house the next morning. I was asleep. I had just got back from the emergency room, getting morphine shots, and I was in my bed asleep. He tapped me on my foot and told me to wake up. He needed to talk to me. My daughter had let him in because she knew him.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay. So I got up, got dressed, went in the kitchen, smoked a blunt with him because I knew he was about to talk something serious with me.
Plus you had the morphine in you.
Plus I had the morphine in me. Right. And it was like 8 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And he was on his way to work.
Okay.
And so he was like, just do it this one last time. I just helped my mom pay her electric bill. They were about to turn it off. And I bought her some groceries. And I just really need your help. And I said, okay, I'm going to help you this one last time. I did. And so I made my phone calls to my then at the time, what we call my in-laws, because they were my street family, my boyfriend's family. And they were like, yeah, come by. But they wanted a lot for the pound, like $1,100. And my friend didn't want to pay that much. So he was like, can you just keep talking them down? And I'm like,
he's trying to get in the game.
He's trying. He wants a deal at this point.
Right.
He wants to save some money.
So I want you to stop right there. Because I know this is when we get into the other part that we need to talk to. We are talking to Bonita Fahy, and she does work right here in Las Vegas in Southern Nevada, and she has been a blessing, and she has had a lot of blessings. So we're telling her entire story so you can pull it all together and see the blessings that she has been given. We're going to take a little break, and we'll be right back. The Lillian McMorris Show is produced by Tego & Associates Productions. Multi-camera shoots either in our studio or on location. That's Tego & Associates Productions. Give us a call at 702-509-7728. And welcome back. We're talking to Bonita Fahy and her story, if you were one of those people that watches a lot of television as I do, you'll say, this is a great TV story. But how real is it? And that's the issue. It's all real. It's all true. It's all her life. And we were just to the point where you said, okay, I don't want to deal drugs anymore, but someone comes and pushes that last button.
Yes.
And you decided to do it.
Yes. And so, in trying to help my friend, throughout the day, I made the phone calls for him. He was at work. He sold bread off of a bread truck, and so he delivered to all of the neighborhood grocery stores. And him and I just conversed throughout the day. He was really excited to be working, and he was proud of his job. He showed me his paycheck, and he told me that he had gotten an advance from his boss, because he told his boss he wanted to buy some furniture, but because he helped his mother, he had fallen short of his goal. And so his goal was to replace that money that he used to pay his mother's electric bill. He was very proud of his relationship with his mother.
And that's understandable.
And he wanted to take care of her and provide for her. And so we even, I had made some baskets I was trying to sell for Mother's Day. And so he had picked out the biggest one that I had made with a beautiful Bible in it and scarf. And he was like, I want her to have this one. And so at the end of the day, when he came back, I told him that my connection had not come down on the price. It was still $1,100. And so a neighborhood boy had offered to, well, he stopped by and he smoked a blunt with us as well. And so he told me and my friend that he could get him a pound for $8.50.
Okay.
And since my friend was a penny pincher,
he said $8.50. That sounded
was
good,
up his
huh?
alley. He was like, "If I buy 2, do you think I could get it for $800 a pound?" So he was really, really trying to save money. And this boy was like, "Oh yeah, my guy will do it for you." And so we ended up smoking another blunt, and then we got in my friend's car, and my friend and I did not know where we were going.
Oh gosh!
Only the 17-year-old knew.
You're trusting.
Yes, we're trusting him. And so my friend has the music loud, where it's just vibrating your spine as you're sitting there, and so
your back is hurting already.
And so he leans over to me and he says, "Do you think he's okay?" I said, "No, we need to go to my people. We need to go to my folks." That
feeling came in.
Yes, we need to go to who I trust. I don't know who his folks are. And he was like, "I'm still going to do it." So we're riding, and the guy is in the back seat saying, "Turn left, turn right, go here, go there." And we ended up in the housing projects, not far from my house. And so I remember my back was hurting. I was in so much pain and so uncomfortable from the car ride. And so when they got out, first the young man got out and he walked around the building. He came back. He said, "My guy said one of you can come in." So my friend looked at me and I said, "What? Because if you give me the money, I'm going to my folks.
I'm not going in there."
And so he was like, "I'm going to go." And so he went to get out, and the last thing he said to me, "Can I curse?"
You're so cute. Let's bleep that one out.
It's not a horrible word, but he said, "Damn, I should have bought my strap."
Okay, right.
And so,
which is surprising that one of you didn't have one in your business.
And I never carried one. So that was his remark. And so he got out to follow the young man, and I could not turn around to see where they were going because of my back. So I got out of the car, and when I got out of the car, my friend's car alarm went off, and I'll never forget that. This is the part that's just so vivid in my mind.
What happened?
He turned off his car alarm, and he came back. He said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "It's my back." And he threw me his car keys. He said, "Here, in case you need to sit down." He said, "Don't stand there too long. If you need to, you can lay down on the seat, do what you have to do." So I said, "Okay," but I really wanted to see where they were going. So I went and stood in front of his car. So now I was facing toward where they were walking.
Okay.
So they both went around the building, and about maybe 5 minutes later, I heard a noise, and I wasn't quite sure if it was a car backfiring. And at this point, my mind is racing, and I'm trying to add 2 and 2 together, like, what is going on?
Oh my gosh.
I know my friend didn't have a gun. He just told me he didn't. What is going on? So I looked around the neighborhood, because I'm like, maybe I'm just paranoid.
Right.
Because I know what's going on. But there was some little kids outside. They had little ribbons. They was jumping rope, and they just were the cutest little girls. Their mom was outside, and they didn't even flinch. They didn't jump. They didn't react. So I'm like, okay, I'm tripping. Nobody else is reacting to this. I'm tripping.
Right.
But then the young gentleman, the 17-year-old, came back around the building, and he had a maroon hoodie, had it wrapped around his hand, and was holding it like this against his stomach. And the look in his eyes is what gives me nightmares to this day.
Wow.
They were just huge. And he was walking toward me, and he wouldn't say anything. And my mind is trying to really, okay, what is going on, Bonita? You have to think quick now.
Right.
Because there is something wrong. And so he was walking toward me, and as he got closer, I was just like, God, please get me out of this. Please get me out of this. And so I said his name. I was like, Joe. He didn't answer. I said, Joe again. He didn't answer. And something said, say it again. And I said, Joe, do we need to go? And then he just kind of like, do we need to go? Yes. Do we need to get out of here? Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, follow me. And in my mind, I'm just like, God, I just want to make it back home to my children, because the code of the street says you don't leave any witnesses.
Right.
When there's a homicide.
Yeah.
And the look in his eyes already told me what he had planned.
Something had happened.
Yep. And what he had planned for me. I could see it. I was reading his face as he was walking toward me. Otherwise, he would have put that gun up.
Right. True.
Why do you need it to come back to me?
To you, right. Mm-hmm.
Right.
This was the 17-year-old.
This was the 17-year-old.
Okay.
So we're walking through the projects, and I'm still unsure where we're going. We ended up on the playground. We stopped, and he asked me one more time. He says, do we really need to go? Yes, we do.
Where was your friend?
My friend, I had saw him through the walkways of the building, and he was on the ground.
Oh, gosh.
But he was trying to get up.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, God, he's okay.
But I couldn't get up.
But I couldn't stare. I couldn't react to it, because then this 17-year-old would feel that I was a threat. Mm-hmm. Because now I'm concerned about somebody that he just tried to murder. Mm-hmm. And what if he went back once he figured out that he was okay and trying to get up?
Okay, so this brings us to the point of you being accused of your friend's murder.
Yes, he ended up dying. Mm-hmm. I went back later that night, and I was expecting, when I got my uncle to take me back, that I was going to see ambulances and police and all this, the news. But my friend was just laying there on the ground, still by himself. No one had come to help him. In fact, they had taken his shoes, his jewelry. And so I jumped out of my uncle's car and I ran to my friend.
Oh, my.
And I fell down next to him on my knees. And I could already tell he was deceased. There was nothing I could do. So my uncle grabs me. And he's trying to pick me up, and I felt something vibrating under my knee, and it was my friend's cell phone. But it scared me, because I'm already in panic mode. Right. And I'm like, I gotta call 911. And my uncle's like, no, you need to get back to your kids, because Joe is back there on the block, and your children are at home by themselves, and we're here. And we need to leave. We don't have time for this, Bonita.
So we've got to take a break, because when we come back, you ended up in prison with the accusation of murder.
Yes. And
that's when your mind, everything started to change. You lost your kids, like you said, you lost your home, you lost everything.
Yes.
So being in prison was a start over.
It was. It didn't feel like it at the time.
Didn't feel like it at the time. No, I know it didn't.
It didn't feel like
it. But this was the time for you to look within yourself.
Yes.
And bring out that other person.
Yes.
And that's what we're going to talk about when we come back. We're talking to Bonita Fahy, which is our highlight for this month. And she is an author. And we're going to talk about the book that she wrote when we return. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We're talking to Bonita Fahy. What happened?
So as you said, I lost custody of my children. I lost my home. My family was believing that I did this murder.
Okay. So your family turned their back on you as well.
Well, right. And it wasn't an outright turn their back, but it was, we're going to keep your kids while you do this 2 years. And this is what they told the judge. But my kids ended up in foster care. And once your children go into foster care, there's a federal law that says if your children are in foster care 15 out of 22 consecutive months, the state has to move to terminate your parental rights. I didn't want to lose my kids to the system.
Right.
Once you're TPR, the kids lose their grandparents, their cousins. They're no longer a part of that family unit.
No, they get a whole new family
a whole
unit.
new family.
Which is temporary at best.
And so I even lost my mind. I was hallucinating.
I love
the devil was
She
floating
said,
outside
I lost
of
my mind. Now, that was part of the consequences for your actions,
Yes,
right?
the
devil was in there.
He was floating outside of my window, calling my name in this creepy voice in the middle of the night.
Oh, my goodness.
Because I had not been to sleep either.
Sleep deprivation can bring about a whole lot of thoughts.
And all those drugs.
Yes.
Because they gave me all the drugs. Even the ones that had got discontinued.
Not a good place for you.
Not a good place for me. But
what happened to turn around?
That's the part.
Because you went in, you hadn't even finished school.
I had not, but I had been lying all this time to my employer saying I had a high school diploma. And after I pled guilty, then I just finally got to a point where I was just like, Lord, I have nothing left. What do you want me to do? Because I had tried to kill myself.
Okay.
What do you want me to do? And clear as day, I heard plead guilty. And I'm like, wait, now you've lost your mind, Lord. That's not how this goes. That's not the correct answer.
I didn't do that.
No, I didn't do it. But I called my lawyer and I changed my plea to guilty.
And that's funny because that's exactly what you put. God to hear my pleas and answer my prayers. I sat quietly on my bed. I heard God clear as a bell. It was as if God had spoken directly to my soul.
Yes. And so I changed my plea to guilty and the homicide charge had been dropped. So at that point they charged me with conspiracy with intent to deliver or possess 2,500 grams of marijuana.
Whoa.
Yes, conspiracy. That just means I knew about it.
Right.
I tell people that's the coldest law ever written.
Right.
Because
just because you knew about it.
Prove that you did a crime.
Nope.
And
but
so,
you knew about it.
But you knew.
You knew where you were.
Yep. And so they charged me with conspiracy. And then the DA began to send me threatening letters. She wanted me to be charged with the murder. And I found out later that she had handled the murder of my friend, his brother.
Oh, gosh.
So she already knew the family. So that's why she was pressing so hard. But I didn't know that at the time.
Okay.
And so she blew off some of those law books and blew the dust off of it. And she came back and she charged me with theft from a corpse.
Oh, gosh.
Right.
Why? Because you took the cell phone?
For the cell phone. And I'm like... Really?
I know it's not funny, but really?
Cell phone. She did. And she was adamant. And she told me in that letter, if she could find anything else to charge me with, she would.
Wow.
That's how she was coming after me.
So how did you manage to get out in 2 years, turn your life around, write the book about your experiences, and now working on your doctorate degree?
It started with me beginning to work on myself. There was an inmate at the table. Her name was Dee Dee. I'll never forget her. And she was so excited because she had gotten a certificate, because she was taking the test to get her GED, and she had gotten the highest score. It was a 680. And I was like, folks, what you doing? She was like, I'm going to school. I said, in jail? She was like, yeah. I said, tell the teacher I want to go. I want to go to school. Okay. She was like, for real? I said, yeah. I said, and just so you know, I'm going to beat your score.
And she challenged yourself.
Yes. And she was like, no, you're not.
No more screaming hallucinations.
No.
You had challenged yourself.
Yep.
Very good.
And I ended up getting an 800, which is a perfect score.
Oh, it is indeed. It still is. You know that, right?
Yes. And so by that time, I left the prison. I ended up at the county jail. I went to prison. And I just continued to work on myself. I completed over 23 programs voluntarily while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
If they offered it, I was signing up for it.
You signed up for it. When did you go to college?
Anger management. I started while I was in prison. I decided, since they only offered an office assistant, which was like a Girl Friday, that wasn't the course. I knew I wanted to take human services. And so I just took my core classes, the reading, the English, the math. And
which is all transferable.
Yes, and the prison was so mad at me because I had made that choice to only take those classes. And they wouldn't give me my financial aid papers because at the time, the only question that FAFSA asked about was if you had a drug conviction. And so I'm like, let me answer this question so I can get the answer so I know. And they were like, no, you just want the money.
Because they didn't believe in you, but you believed in you. What would you tell young people today?
I would tell young people today to research. And that's what I had to do. They told me no, but I went around and I asked other people, and I got that form, I mailed it in, and it said, clear as day, if you have taken a state-approved AODA, state-approved drug class, you can mark no to this question. And I had taken that class. And so when I was valedictorian at the graduation there for GED, and I gave the speech. And so my life started fast tracking after that. And so,
because you knew you had it. You knew you had it.
Yes, and I had that feeling.
Just quickly, we only have a couple of minutes left. Upon your release, how did you get back on your feet?
I started volunteering.
Well,
I was in a halfway house, surrounded by drug houses, but I asked God to help me, and the first opportunity that came to me was a volunteer position at a human service agency.
Very good.
And so my boss paid for me to become a drug and alcohol counselor, and then I moved into behavioral health, and now today I am starting on my doctoral degree. I've begun work on that.
And your doctorate will be in?
In organizational management and leadership.
See, this is what we try to tell our young people. You can do it. It doesn't matter what you have done or the choices that you've made, meaning past tense. Make new choices. Get this book. It's called Guilty, the Inside Truth. And Bonita, believe me, she has mapped out everything we talked about, plus, and more plus. In just skimming through it and reading a brief edition online, I tell you, it will change you. It will change your way of thinking, whether you're an adult or a young person. I strongly suggest our young people get this book. And older people, you have made some choices, bad choices. They don't have to drive you. You drive them, and you can change them. Guilty, the Inside Truth. If you want to find more about Bonita Fahy, I'll give you a telephone number, 702-721-9195. That's 702-721-9195. You can go to her website, and the website is changinme.com, except it's like ghetto changing, like CHANGEME.com, changinme.com. You want to be her Facebook friend. Go find out what she's doing now, what's positive, giving back to our community. Facebook, it's her name, Bonita Fahy. Her fan page is the name of the book, Guilty, the Inside Truth. I am so happy that you took the time to come and talk to us and to share in our community. And I want to congratulate you and thank you for being our spotlight person for this month.
Thank you for having me. It's a very humbling experience, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.